Hey everyone, and welcome to the second and final round video coverage of Welcome to the Jungle 2 at Coggshall Park in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. My name is Chris Collette. I am a local pro from Leominster, Massachusetts, and Team Prodigy member.
And I'm Sam Gaddes. I'm just your average disc golfer, but I was also filming this round, so it should be a fun round to go back and watch again.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. So I am playing for Prodigy and Hawk's Nest Disc Golf, a company that I own in Devens, Massachusetts. Jesse is from North Kingstown, Rhode Island, and plays a lot of the pro events in Massachusetts and made the trip up to Fitchburg.
I haven't really met Joe before, but it was really fun watching him play this round. And then there's Cooper too, who he's from Maine, one of the best players out of Maine, and he was playing pretty well today. So here's a look after first round. You got Chris in first, and we got Jesse in second, Joe in third, Cooper in fourth place. And here's hole one.
Hole one's a short hole. I was excited to have the lead after the first round. This is a tight course, and it's a course that you can feel like you made a great shot and get punished for being just a little off your line. The course used to be a lot tighter, but the locals have done some fantastic work. A lot of volunteers have done some great work to clean up a lot of the lines, clean up a lot of the fairways, so that you'll see that this is one of the shorter, more open holes, but a lot of the longer holes, if you're anywhere off the fairway, it's punishing.
Yeah, I just want to echo how good this course is playing currently. It to be honest, it was in pretty rough shape a few years ago, and the locals really have just done an amazing job. So here's the first few drives. Not, like Chris said, not a very difficult hole, pretty open, short hole. You're probably going to see a lot of birdies on this one.
Yeah, the only real risk on this hole is the right side. If you try to throw that hyzer like Joe just did, you run into that tree line, and the worst thing that can happen with that tree line is that if you kick right, there's a road right at the very edge that's out of bounds. So the safe play here is the straight shot, like Cooper just threw, or something that'll move from left to right as it moves up the fairway, but it's a short shot. So whatever your preferred disc for short shots is.
Close to the second best shot of the day. Unfortunately, cameras weren't rolling. First throw on the first hole, there was an ace on Sam Henderson's birthday.
Yeah, I would love I don't care what day it is, whether or not it's my birthday, to have this ace. But so shout out to Sam for that first one. I believe he won a basket for that too.
Yeah. Here you are, Chris, lining up your putt. Nice putt there.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's nice to start around with a birdie. It takes a lot of that sort of first jitters, first throw pressure off.
Especially on this hole, you really want to birdie this hole. This should be this is almost a must birdie for the MPO field.
Yeah, so you'll see us clean up here. Shout out to your boy Coop. Follow him on Instagram if you can. Like Sam said, one of the best players in Maine, and I've noticed that he's made a concerted effort this year to travel a lot more throughout New England, play a lot more events, and did pretty well. I believe he won a beach here in Connecticut just a weekend or two after this event.
Here's hole two, another relatively short one. This one's most players are going to do some kind of turnover, mid-range, or even a putter. You can get in trouble if you go to the left, but again, most players you'd like a 2 on this one, but 3 is still it's okay.
Yeah, I threw my M4 hoping for exactly that shot, that turnover that gets to the basket. I didn't throw it hard enough, which happens a lot. So it's the right line, but didn't quite get to the basket. You see Jesse took the same line trying to get over, but threw a much cleaner shot right up and under the basket.
That's
Great
just
shot.
About perfect right there. I was actually worried. I was doing catch cam for this round, and I almost had to move a few times. Here's Cooper.
Yeah, the other shot is that forehand line. If you get a big skip way right, that same road could come into play, that access road that's out of bounds. But there's so much density up there, trees and bushes in the way and low shrubs, that even the forehand line, if it gets there, usually will at least stay in bounds and stay somewhere near the basket. You'll get kicks.
It's a pretty good shot there by Joe. It goes a little bit long, but shouldn't be too hard to grab his 2 on this hole. Here's Cooper with a little bit of a long putt, probably just going to lay up here.
Yeah, Cooper's got to be one of the best clutch putters in New England, but a shot like this with that falling, that sort of death puttish made more sense to lay up.
Mm-hmm. Were you running this one? Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I knew I was down the hill. My disc kicked down the hill, but I knew that if I had to putt as high as I did and I missed, that it wouldn't go too far past the basket, so I went for it.
Here's Joe trying to grab that 2. Good putt by Joe. That was a really nice one. It doesn't look like it here, but that's really uphill. So that's a tough one.
Yeah, and I believe outside the circle too.
And we're just going to clean up here on hole 2.
So hole 3, as we approach it, you'll see it's a long fairway. It's the first long hole that you come across when you start the course. Going into this hole, I still only have a 1-stroke lead, and I know that it can take one hole to blow 2, 3, 4 strokes if you end up too far off the fairway or into some of the OB lines. So on this hole, the fairway curves left, curves a little bit back right, but by putting the basket, and you'll see towards the end here, by putting the basket on the left side at the end of the fairway, it forces a player to approach to the left, even though most of these drives, if you throw a forehand, will finish right, or if you throw a backhand, will end up too short.
Very few people are going to put this one on the green. This can be kind of tough because that's what happens if you throw a backhand. Sometimes you get a little bit right, and most players are going to end up on the left with a kind of a hyzer approach to the green here.
Yeah, and you see that density on the left side. That doesn't get much thinner as you go down the fairway, so it's like that the whole way.
Doesn't get much thinner as you go up through the course either.
Yeah, this is one of the most punishing off the fairway courses we'll ever play. And the New England brambles are bushes that don't move even if you're standing in them. I believe Cooper two'd this in the first round by throwing that same forehand shot. I don't know if he got the same roll that he did in the first round, but I believe he two'd it the first round by making a 40 or 50-foot putt from about that same spot. And you'll see Jesse here trying to make that clean up shot. And I think up shots on a course like this are much more important than on the average, more open course, maybe in other parts of the country.
He left himself with a little bit longer of a putt than he really wants, but still in okay shape there. Chris, I'm guessing you're just trying to get it in the circle there, close to the basket.
Yeah, giving it that half run, enough to get to the basket and maybe get lucky if I throw it a little too high, but otherwise just trying to stay there and stay clean on this hole.
It's a really tough hole to birdie. There's OB right on the road, and just getting it down the fairway is pretty good on this hole. Cooper's definitely trying to run this.
Yeah, I don't know if Cooper's ever seen a putt that he wasn't first thinking of running.
Oh, no. In and out. Oh, so close. He wanted that one really bad.
And that's the one that hurts because you know you made it first round.
Yeah. And we're just cleaning up here.
So going into this tournament, we have 18 holes, and they decided to add 2 temporary holes to the tournament. And hole 3A coming up is one that is sort of used as a filler hole. So normally after this hole, we'd walk a little bit ways up that same access road through the park. But in an effort to get rid of that gap and that long walk, they decided to add a filler hole, which I loved, frankly. I think it's a great hole, and I think it's a hole that you don't see in a lot of places because the way that it's laid out. If you look up towards the top, you'll see the basket tucked way in the back up against that rock wall. And in practice, I threw a lot of great clean hyzers, but for some reason in the tournament couldn't get the same hyzer that I wanted this time.
This was a really fun hole to film. I had to climb way up there and basically pin myself up against a rock.
What are you thinking when you when you're thinking catch cam and you want to watch the disc come into the basket? Where are you trying to put yourself?
I'm trying not to be in the player's way, but at the same time trying to get a good shot. And so it's kind of it's a balance there, trying not to get in their way, but also trying to show people exactly where it goes. So that actually wasn't that close. It was a little bit lower. But, yeah, it's a little bit of a balancing act trying to get the good shot and also not interfere with you guys. Was that the basket there? And that's kind of a practice basket, or was that just, did you not give it enough?
No, it's hard to tell at this angle since we're looking straight down at it, but I had a 10, 12, 15-foot elevation change there, so that's one of those, you want to throw it up high, but you worry about going over the basket, so you don't give it enough, and you end up coming up a little bit short, which is what happens for just about everybody on this hole. It's tough to be anywhere pin high or above it, so most of these putts have to come from below. Cooper with a fantastic putt from almost the same spot, a little bit closer than I had.
It's a pretty good hole for being a temporary hole. I don't know if they'll ever make it a permanent thing, but definitely I could see them breaking it out again for another tournament here.
Yeah, that body language frustration there is because I missed that hole both rounds, despite it being one of the shortest holes on the course.
Still have the 1-stroke lead going into the 4th hole, but it's still very, very tight.
Yeah, this if you can see on the map there. This is a 40-foot elevation change on this hole. So we're trying to throw something that'll make it all the way up the hill, but the gaps are only 4 or 5 feet wide around a center tree that you'll see. So our goal is to pick either one of those gaps, but really just throw the straightest uphill shot we can with a little bit of fade at the end.
Yeah, that tee sign made it seem like there's 2 lanes. There's really just one, and it's just directly up the hill and just trying to stay in the middle without doing that. That's a tough kick. That's not what you want on this hole. That makes it very difficult to get to the green.
Yeah, I think I was a little short first round, so I'm thinking I'll throw the same PA2 but harder, which turned it over and put me in the same trouble that a lot of the other guys saw. I was lucky enough at least to have my kick stay in the fairway.
You walk up to this hole and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. And then you throw it and you're like, oh, it's a little bit trickier than you originally think.
Yeah, there's not a lot of holes in this area where you have to throw such elevation changes straight up or straight down like this.
So here's Chris's shot. Just trying to get up by the basket, grab your 3, move on.
Yeah.
And again, another putt from Cooper, trying to run it. Just left it a little bit left. Pretty good run though.
Yeah, and I know coming into this too, the guys are only a couple of strokes behind, so anytime they get a chance to capitalize on a lot of these holes that are shorter, you know that they're going to be going for it, and you can feel that pressure trying to stay clean but not give up any of the opportunities that come up. And Jesse has a really straight putt. He putts with Novas.
That nose up kind of floaty thing. Yeah, I was waiting. Like, we got to talk about this putt for a second.
It's got to be the most nose up putt that I've seen in a while, possibly ever. And he does it with Novas, and you'll see it here. The difference, though, is that it flies in such a straight line and maintains the same height that he rarely misses high or low at most distances. And when it hits the chains, it stays in because it flutters, flips upside down, and falls in the basket. So he usually doesn't have problems like that.
We're just cleaning up hole 4. Moving on. So after, well, technically 5 holes, now you have a 2-stroke lead. Jesse got that 4 there. Still really tight. Hole 5, this is a 358, but it plays pretty long. It's a long turnover, tight line, and if you leave it left, you are in a lot of trouble. It's very thick over there.
Yeah, Joe hit the gap, but maybe it was disc choice or maybe it was the angle that he threw it on. He hit the gap, one of the gaps that he wanted, but it didn't quite turn over the way he was looking for. And this is the other choice, is the forehand straight up the middle. Unless you have sort of max forehand distance, it's really tough to get far enough up the fairway that you'll have a real good chance. It's really tough to get even inside the circle here with that distance. But if you're looking for the clean shot that you know will stay right, the forehand is the right way. The other option is cheating and throwing it through a gap that nobody has any business throwing through. And I got real lucky here to be bad enough that I hit a gap that I wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, if you have a forehand, that's the one you want to go on this hole. A backhand really takes commitment to the shot, to give it that right amount of power, get your disc to turn over just a little bit. It's a tricky touch shot. And then if you're left, apparently you have to do a tomahawk out, but that's actually pretty good from where he was. Still a tough putt, but he put himself pretty close.
Yeah, so you saw Cooper through that forehand, which leaves him a little bit short. So he's got a decent shot still up to the basket. And you'll see the green for this basket is steep, and rollaways like this are all too common on this hole. They put a couple of logs there for both erosion and to catch any rolling away discs, but it's most of the discs just roll right over those, and they work their way down the hill. So when I make this putt, my thought here is worst case scenario, make it or miss, try to have it land flat. I think I spent too much time thinking about that and not enough time trying to hit the gap.
Unless you have a perfect drive, you're really just going for your 3 and moving on to the next hole. Jesse leaves that a little left, maybe a little late release or maybe disc choice.
Yeah, it seemed like he turned it over a little bit, just threw that forehand a little too straight. I had a gap here, but that's a lack of commitment.
Yeah, it seems like he just didn't quite give it the power it needed to get there. Here's Jesse with that nose up putt. Oh man, that's so close. That would have been a really nice save.
So Cooper had the roll away. He's pretty far out. I think he's a little outside the circle, 35, maybe 38. So you'll see him running this uphill.
Oh, man.
And gets punished.
Another roll.
Gets punished again.
Oh, man.
For what isn't a bad putt.
He doesn't let that happen twice usually, though. And there it is. Really nice putt. That's a tough one.
Yeah, you got to keep your composure and refocus, pull back together, and make that next putt and ignore the putts that just happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes on this course that you just really need to keep focused. You're gonna catch some breaks. No matter how good you are on this course, you're going to catch a bad break, and you just need to keep your focus and just move on to the next shot. That's a really nice putt. If he misses that, he's going at least 35 long.
Yeah, and the best part about that putt was right before he made it, he slipped and fell a little bit down the hill, had to regroup, pull himself together, and made that great putt from a tough spot.
I really like this hole 6. It's not crazy far, but you're throwing over this almost like a ravine kind of thing. If you don't make it across up that hill, you have a very tough second shot. But hitting this line feels really, really good.
Yeah, it's a straight line. You can pick the forehand or the backhand. It's a lot less important that you put it under the basket and more important that you just get across the ravine. Because if you end up at the bottom, you could be adding 1, 2, 3 strokes just to get back all the way up to the basket. I like the forehand line. It's a little easier to control. To throw in a straight line for me.
And this is one where they didn't have a tee pad for a while, and it was really it made it very tough. It's a very nice tee pad on here. Oh, you leave it a little bit left there, maybe a little late release. That's a
bad wrist roll for me.
Yeah.
And a note about those tee pads. I think the volunteers for this course put in something like 12 tee pads in the 2 or 3 weeks before this course.
Oh yeah,
before
crazy
this tournament.
amount of work.
Yeah,
leading right up to this tournament.
So shout out to everybody who did work on this course. It makes it, good tee pads on a tough course can shave strokes, can save a lot of the game. Absolutely. And it sometimes can mean throwing sky rollers from the bottom of a ravine.
Yeah, these are the type of shots you're going to have if you don't make it over that ravine. You're not going to get a 3 unless you get lucky on your shot from down there. It's a really tough 3 if you don't make it over.
They push the basket far enough back that it makes it a very tough 2, even if you cross the ravine, because you have to get across and then push another 7,500 feet back up the hill. So you'll see Cooper trying another run. Cooper hit a lot of metal.
Yeah, I feel like he's been kind of low on a few of his putts. Hopefully he can kind of make an adjustment and here on out. There's still a lot of golf to play on this course. And that's a tough roll.
Yeah, I forgot that happened. This one hurt. Because I knew that I was in the ravine, and then I had to roll up, and then I got a bad roll. So at this point, I'm worried. I'm worried about getting caught, and I'm honestly worried about the second card too. There's a lot of fantastic players on the second card, and having this only be a 2-round tournament meant that even though for 5th through 8th place was behind us, they were only a couple of strokes behind us. So it only takes a couple of bad rolls, and you have to imagine everybody else is getting some of the bad rolls and bad kicks that we're getting, but you never really know, so you're worried and not knowing just how much you should go for.
Still nose up, even though it's a really short putt.
Whatever goes in stays in. That's great.
I've played with him before. I'm just fascinated by his putt. I love it. It works for him really well. He's a pretty good putter. And so after, what is this, 7 now? After 7 holes, still with the 1-stroke lead, but like you said, the chase card is definitely right there with you. Here's temporary hole 6A. They had just cut this out. This didn't exist a few weeks ago. And I actually haven't played this hole, but it looked really tough. If you don't stay on the fairway, you're pitching out, no question about it.
Yeah, they barely cut the fairway out, which means that anything that's even a little bit off the fairway you might be the first person to ever walk through that patch of forest if you end up off the fairway. And this is a par 4 on what is a relatively short course. So we're just hoping at this point, and you can't. It's tough to see at this angle, but we're just hoping to throw something that'll get up to that clump of trunks of trees up there. and will land about where I put it. And from there, we still have another 250-foot shot down a fairway that's only 12 or 15 feet wide, all the way down to a temporary basket and a little clearing all the way at the end. So it's unlike most holes, this is a shot where you're just trying to lay up pretty short with a putter, maybe a mid or an approach disc. And then it's really the second shot that makes or breaks this hole for everybody.
Yeah, Cooper was actually not in crazy bad position. You could actually see the basket from where he was throwing. Just catches a bad break on that tree. But you had a really good first shot. Like you said, that's exactly what you need to do off the first shot of this hole. You're not going for the basket. Absolutely not. You're trying to lay up and set yourself up for a really good second shot. And it's going long, but good kick there, and you're right next to the basket.
Yeah, you see how thin that fairway is. I threw a great shot there, one that I liked with my H3, but my goal here was just to get anywhere down the fairway. I know that most of the players are taking 4s on this hole or worse, so I will walk away with a 3 happier, but I still would have taken a 4 all day.
Yeah, 3 is definitely a stroke on a lot of the field, and man, this is, I don't know, do you think it was a lot of just unfamiliarity with the hole, or was it just a really tough hole? Because it seems like a lot of you guys on the card are having a tough time here.
It's a little bit of both. This is a really, really tight hole. So having never played this hole for a lot of players, right up until maybe the first round or practicing it that morning, a lot of the players threw decent shots. But on a hole that's so tight, a decent shot usually still isn't good enough. You got to throw a great shot to stay in the middle of this fairway. So I imagine as more people play this hole and the rough gets a little thinner with traffic, this hole will become a lot easier. But for now, it's tough just to get down these fairways.
Had to move there a little bit. Here's Jesse trying to get his putt. That's a nice putt. He had a tough time getting down the fairway, but it was a nice putt. We're on to the next hole. We are cleaning up here.
Yeah, those hyzer putts are tough when you're playing on a basket that only has one set of chains.
It's PDGA approved. Here we go. We're just cleaning up putts here, and we're going to be moving on to hole 7. I actually really like hole 7. It's definitely an eagleable hole. You need to have a really good shot, but you can put this hole, put your disc inside the circle on a really, really good throw. It's tough, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, this is a shot. You want to throw your straightest disc up the middle, which is exactly not what I did. I think I second guessed it before I threw it. You focus too much on throwing a clean shot, not enough on just letting the shot come out of your hand clean.
Even if you get through this first section too, even if you turn over a little bit, once you get through that first section of tight trees, you're good. Like you have a good look for an approach. Actually, the place you don't want to be is any too far short left. That's a really tough out. Or even in this first section, once you get past this section, you'd rather be right than left.
And this is a fantastic shot.
This is a great shot.
As long as you throw a straight shot with a little bit of fade, you're going to be in clean up shot, easy sort of tap in for 3 range. Anything short is painful, so I'm thinking I got to get back out to the fairway, get some distance, and then fade left at the end where the basket is. So I was very happy with that.
That's a really nice shot from where you were. That's a nice little, put something slightly overstable on kind of a hyzer, and then you let it kind of work itself out. There's a rip right there. Wow, he threw that very hard. And is he close to the circle?
I think he's most of the way down. I don't think he's putting, or if he is, it's gonna be a tough putt from there. And Cooper with a fantastic forehand. I think that's his clutch M4 that he's been throwing for years now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what happens if you are short of the basket and left.
It's left that a little bit high. That's a tough branch right there. He is actually a pretty good line. I think if he had missed that, he was going to be pretty close.
Yeah, you'll see most of us, even if we get down the fairway, we finish left, we're throwing a lot of the same shot, trying to hit the same gap, trying to throw that same forehand up, and that's what happens when you turn your wrist over, folks.
Yep. Left that a little bit low. Here's my favorite putt in disc golf ever. Oh, and he left it a little low. Oh, no.
It's clean putt. Might be a little non-traditional, but it's clean.
Yeah.
It's a clean putt. And you'll find yourself putting. I straddle putt here, and I'm not normally a straddle putter. with so many of the shrubs being unmovable, unadjustable, you're leaning up against them. They don't move. They push on you harder than you push on them. It forces you to putt in a lot of sort of different stances throughout the day.
And that's for your 4? We'll find out in a second.
That's a good question. I've blocked it out. I remember the hole not going well, so I've blocked it out. I think it's for my 5 with the bad upshot.
Okay.
So most players, we get past this hole, and you start to feel a little bit better about some of the holes coming up. They get a little shorter, just a smidge more open, and they're holes that you're thinking that you want to birdie.
This is a must birdie for probably everyone in the MPO field.
Yeah, you're expecting
even like M1 too. Like everyone wants to birdie this hole. It's a very short putter, slight turnover, and you just want it's a touch shot. You're not throwing it very hard because you're I don't know if you can tell from this angle, but you're up pretty high on this little ledge, and you're shooting down at the basket.
Yeah, there's not a lot of holes where you can swing a shot out wide left and still be safe. What you don't want to do is be right like Joe was.
Yeah.
That compounded by the bad kick. I think he took his next shot from the next hole's tee pad.
It's definitely, you can definitely save a 3 with a bad shot on this hole though, and that's a great shot right there. Puts it just right by the basket, exactly what you want to do. He feels good about that one.
Yeah, coming in this hole, I thought I just had a bad hole. As long as I take my time, throw a clean shot, throw the right shot, we can get the train back on the tracks.
And that is just about a perfect shot right there.
Yeah, I was happy with that one.
And yeah, here's Joe from almost the next tee's basket. Little kiss off the tree, and he's pretty good. Still definitely he'll probably get his 3 on that one.
Yeah, I'd put that inside Joe's confidence circle.
There's Cooper with a nice 2 right there. Oh no,
that is tough.
That's a tough one right there.
And you see another one of those.
He makes those too. Like that's a tough one for him. Maybe I don't know what. Maybe he just kind of got a little in his head, or maybe it was a tough stance or something like that. But that's a tough one.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I think he's stuck with that tree. He's got a little bit of a low ceiling, so you got to make just enough adjustments that you can't putt the way you normally want to.
We don't get a lot of filming on these tournaments around here. Was that different for you guys? Was that in your mind at all? Did that put any pressure on you guys at all?
A little bit. You know, the occasional round will get filmed up here, but it's usually a mixed set of shots, or somebody will put together some footage from a lot of different players throughout the day. I think this was the first time that I had a round filmed front to back, all the way, sort of with dedicated coverage like this, with 2 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, at the very least, over the first few holes, you're thinking about it. It's hard not to be thinking about that. It's a mix of wanting to play well for a camera and a mix of knowing that there's somebody out there, possibly near you, in front of you. But trying not to let that sort of get in your head and try to just play your game.
So this hole's really long. Well, not very long downhill, but it's either a mid-range or a putter. It's very straight until the very last second, where the basket's just kind of tucked off to the right a little bit. Most people are going to play some kind of very slow turnover putter or mid-range. It's actually, for me at least, this hole is pretty tough to put your shot really close. There's a lot of trees that get in your way, and if you go to the left, you can find yourself in some trouble. This is, I believe, about pin high. It's a pretty good shot there by Joe.
Yeah, it's probably the hardest shot in disc golf, the super long straight one.
Mm-hmm.
And adding that it drops downhill 30, 40 feet doesn't make it any easier.
Mm-hmm.
So I threw the line that I wanted, but I definitely didn't throw it hard enough.
Yep.
So I'm thinking here it's downhill. Give it a nice high putt so that whether or not it goes in, it'll stay near the basket.
That was a good honest run right there, and also you didn't leave yourself with anything too long to come back at. That one misses just right. Oh, and misses me barely. Getting out of my way.
Say good job getting out of the way. Have you ever been hit with a disc while filming?
No, I have not. But disclaimer, this is I think the first time I've done catch cam, so maybe I'm speaking too soon. Here we go. That's a great putt. Just barely over the rim. That nose up, the thing just does not drop at all. It just stays exactly how high he puts it.
Yeah, I've played with Jesse a lot, and he's got to be one of the few guys who almost every putt that he makes that hits the rim goes in anyway, because the nose is so far up that it uses the front rim as a little ramp into the chains.
Yep.
So I'm happy with the 3 here. There's enough density in the way on the way down to the basket that I know a lot of the players are going to take kicks. They're going to get most of the way there, but still have a long putt downhill, which can be dangerous. So I'm happy with the 3 here. And
Cooper with a great 2 there. It's not as easy as it looked to 2 that one, and he's 4 down, just right around halfway through the round, and he's doing really well.
Yeah, and at this point he's past me. He's got a stroke on me, so he's winning. And I'm trying to stay clean and get some of these back.
I really like this hole. Just overstable putter, harp, I don't know, what do you throw, PA1, something like that. It's downhill. You just got to tuck it in. The only thing you have to really worry about is you don't want to go right. If you leave it right, then you're really in some trouble. And if you go short, was it OB? There's kind of like a swampy area over there. If it's not OB, you just don't want to be there anyway because it's gross.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of those, you're picking up your disc and it's covered in stuff.
Yep.
You don't want to be short. You don't want to be right. It's a pure hyzer. You want to be able to throw the shot that everybody should have in their back pocket. Everybody should be able to throw the clean, straight hyzer. The mistake most people make, if they tend to make it here, is usually either catching a tree on the way like Joe just did, or just throwing a shot too straight. You throw it too straight, it doesn't fade in, and you're looking at a putt, something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Leaves it a little bit low. That's a really tough putt. There's a lot of trees in the way there. It's touchy. Shouldn't be too bad of a comebacker.
Yeah, I think it's been a few holes since Joe had a chance to putt with a normal stance.
An air ball from Cooper. That's not something you see, especially from that. And then there's that. I'm never going to get over that putt.
That's a great putt.
I know. It's good, too. There he goes with the comebacker. That's a good 3. You definitely don't want a 4 this hole. A 4 on this hole does not feel very good. That's a nice 2 there from you.
No, a 4 probably gives up multiple strokes on this hole.
Yes. And then here's Cooper with his little comebacker. There you go, right in the middle. It's a 3. This next hole, if you don't have a forehand, there's absolutely no chance in my mind of you deucing it. And even if you do have a forehand, it's a pretty tough deuce coming up. It's a very, very hard dogleg right.
I like the map is an actual U-turn.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a really tough shot. You either throw a sky turnover type of shot or a sky forehand. The hardest part is not so much the height or the distance. It's that you have to get to the turn and then move right another 150 feet just to get onto the get onto the green.
If you throw it any short at all, you're gonna find yourself to the right there, and it is super thick. It's a guaranteed extra stroke, probably 2. If you find yourself in there, it kind of dips down. There's like a little, I wouldn't call it a ravine, but it's definitely like a depression in there. It's really tough, and he gets pretty lucky not going too deep in there. Again, if you come up short, see, it's just a little pitch out there, and you just gotta take your medicine, as people say, and take your 4.
Yeah, it's the folks who try to get that extra distance right that cut it a little off and end up hitting something on the right side. But a pitch out, I think Cooper pitched out. He's probably putting from wherever he is, but it's
I think
not
he came
where
up
he wants
a little
to be.
bit short, actually. He
There you
was
go.
still in the edge of the trees over there. I was just sitting there waiting to see discs come around the corner, and it actually took a little bit for me to see any frisbees.
We're trying. And this is what happens even if you make the corner, but not as far out as you should.
Yeah, it's definitely, you need a flick with height and distance, and you almost need to like stall out and just, like you said, go 100 feet to the right. It's not that straightforward of a putt. Cooper goes a little bit long there, but it shouldn't be any problem.
You're right, though. Cooper couldn't quite get out as far as he wanted to from the woods. I thought that was a better shot from the way it looked, but you were right.
There's a good putt right there.
It's a great putt. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but this is a little bit of an elevated basket from all sides. Is a mound in the middle. So no matter which side you're putting from, you're always scared that you're going to miss and blow past the basket a little too far.
Yeah, there is kind of a backstop behind you, but still, if you hit that backstop, it's still at least a 25, 30-foot putt.
Exactly.
It's not ideal. So here we are. You got your stroke back from Cooper. It's still so tight. It's a very, very. I think the whole field it was pretty close. There's a lot of people in the chase card who came back pretty close, and it was very tight all day. This is a really fun hole. This is the hole people ace. It's super downhill. I usually go with the backhand here. I don't think I've actually ever seen people do this forehand line. It's a little dirty almost. Like, I don't know. It's not how the hole was designed.
Oh, it's dirty. There's a local route that you most people don't notice it because you kind of got to stand almost off the edge of the tee pad.
Very small tee pad, by the way.
It is, and you got to stand off the edge of it and try to throw a forehand through a gap on the left side, but you don't notice it because the gap stays that wide all the way down, which is tough to see unless you're looking that way. So you'll see a lot of the folks who know these lines want to take that line.
Ooh,
otherwise, you're trying to throw an Annie forehand.
That was close. That was almost in there. Ooh, I like this shot. Way up high. Shout out to Mark. And that's a nice putt right there, too.
Thank you. Yeah, this is another hole you're expecting to take a 2. If you don't take a 2 on this hole, you know that you gave strokes away to most of the field.
Another great
That's
putt
a great
by
putt.
Cooper. Just dead center. Oh, he catch band on there? Just left it a little bit high.
That one hurts.
That one does hurt. And there's Joe for his 3, and so will Jesse pick up a 3.
And this is usually the point in the round where you're starting to feel some frustration.
He's a little frustrated there. Yeah, he slams that putter in there. He wanted that putt, and he normally does hit those putts. So going into hole. Where are we? 13? Yeah, 13. Here we go. Pretty straightforward hole. Really straight. That's kind of what it is. You just want to throw it straight. And like you said, maybe one of the harder shots in disc golf just to throw it straight. But again, people want to birdie this hole.
Yeah, I'm throwing an M3 here. It's a laser disc that if I make a mistake, tends to finish more right than left. Tends to turn over a little bit more than the rest of my M3s. And the left side, so it slopes downhill on the left. So you'll see a lot of players try to favor the right side, try to do what Cooper just did and stay right. That way they stay out of that ravine on the left side, and that can cause a lot of players to pull the disc a little bit right.
There's a lot of ravines at Coggshall.
There is. It's the New England elevation changes. It's the mountains. It's the North Appalachians.
It's a nice shot there. Goes a little bit to the left of the basket, but again, he's probably pretty happy with that shot, especially after coming off that last hole where the 3 was not something he was going for.
Yeah, and you see Mark. I want to give a shout out to Mark behind the camera for putting this production together. So you'll see him in a couple of the shots in the background as well.
Yeah, he did a great job here. He put together a really nice video. He did all the editing. All I did was shoot. I did the easy part.
Yeah, but you dodged discs. That's got to be hazard pay, right?
I did. Yeah, yeah, definitely got all that hazard pay. Oh, just goes around the rim.
Yeah, that's a tough putt. These are the uphill, awkward angle, tough stance. 1 foot's in mud, 1 foot's on a log type putts that can throw off your perception.
Yeah, there's some awkward stances here. You can totally understand why some people maybe aren't quite comfortable putting, and then it exposes a few things like maybe there's an air ball and all that. So it's tough footing here. It can be. All right, we're gonna clean up here. Again, pretty straightforward hole. You just put it down the middle, and it's pretty quick. And we're gonna move on to hole 14. When now you have a 2-stroke lead, but still you don't really know what's going on the chase card, do you? You know that they're gonna be shooting well, so it's still, even though you know you gained a stroke on Cooper, you don't know what's going on behind you.
Exactly, and I know that there's some very good players, including local pros who are on the chase card. So I know that at any point they could tear it up and shoot multiple strokes better than anybody on our card potentially. And this is a hole, knowing that I only have 2 strokes on Cooper, this is a hole that can produce 3s, 4s, 5s, the occasional 6, because it's long, it's tight, and this is. I'll be honest. This is a hole that I could see maybe one more tree taken out somewhere early in the fairway, because the fairway is a good size most of the way down. But
you don't
it's tough
see
early.
this happen ever. No one overdrives this hole. You need a little bit of luck even for a decent shot on this. Never mind going past the basket.
Yeah,
on this hole.
that was an incredible line.
Yes.
Even on a hole like this, I'm thinking all I want to do is get halfway up the fairway, take my 3, move on, be totally fine with the 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's as soon as you start thinking 2 that you end up with the 4s and the 5s.
Yep. So it gets a little messy on the left here. That's a pretty good pitch out there by Cooper.
Yeah, that's a fantastic pitch out from where he was.
So yeah, you feel good about a 3. You know you're probably not going to get a 2 on this hole. You leave. It's like 3 is fine, but you feel bad about a 4. Almost one of those. I don't know. It's one of those holes that you're not going to birdie it. 3's fine, but you just really don't want to 4 it.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of guys. All they want to do is get halfway up the fairway for their first shot, because the fairway opens up once you get past the initial gap, and then. So for most of us, it's just pitching up to the basket, trying to stay clean on what is a slight hill and another tough metal rim from Jesse, and you can see it. You can see it as you went through, and you could tell. I was playing with him, and I could tell there was some frustration there. We try to stay positive, but it's hard when you hit metal so often to know that to be as confident with the next one.
Yeah, I didn't quite have that putter dialed in all around, but still putting together something okay. But again, getting out of there with a 3, I mean, as much as you want that 2, if you have an opportunity to 2 it with a putt, like you really want to take advantage of it. But again, walking away with a 3 on this hole, you're okay. So going into hole 15, straight shot. People both backhand and forehand this hole. It's all about hit. It's a very narrow line. If you hit this line, it's going to be good. If you're even a little bit off, you could have a really bad kick.
Yeah, if you have a 350-foot forehand, as Cooper does, this is the line that you want to take.
Yep.
He got most of the way there and caught one of those trees, but this is throwing your forehand just about as hard as you can most of the way down the fairway, knowing that the basket's a little on the right at the end, and it slopes uphill on the right, so that hill will catch whatever ends up at the end. It's the backhand, this shot, that is the tough one, is the harder of the 2 shots.
Mm-hmm. And he'll have a little obstructed view there, but still, even on the right, there's not it's you got to miss a few trees, but it's still not impossible to get away with your 3 after a not perfect drive on this hole. And that was actually that was a pretty good drive there by Joe. He's going to have a long putt, but definitely looking at it too if he can convert on this.
Yeah, that's definitely the best shot of the 4 of us. Anything that gets most of the way down the fairway on this hole is a great shot.
That's a really nice flex forehand there. Puts it probably, was that like 20 feet? That's a great second shot there.
Thank you. Yeah, I was happy with that one. And Jesse, for a lot of these shots, when you kick off the fairway, you have to know that some of these shots off the fairway are going to be harder than others, and you don't get to pick which ones are yours and which ones are your opponent's. So Jesse had a much worse lie than I did, and that's just the luck of the draw.
There's Jesse again. Yeah, that laurel can be really thick and unforgiving. You hit it and it's gonna stop your disc. It's so thick and rigid, and it's really tough. Is that 2?
I believe that is a 2
that was
for Joe.
2. That's a
great 2.
Great 2 there. It's good to see. Yeah, Joe, really nice 2 there. Oh, and Jesse still having some struggles with the putter. There's your 3.
Yeah, another hole that I'm happy to walk away with a 3 on. Coming in this course, I've played this course a lot. I'm a local to this course. You know which holes that you want to, and you know which holes that you're fine with the par on. This is one that I'll go for the 2, but I'm totally fine with the par on this hole.
Cool. I really like this next hole. It's like one of the most New England holes in the world. Super. Tons of trees, and it's short, but I don't know, at least 80 feet of elevation. I don't know, maybe not 80 feet, but it's like you're throwing almost vertical on this hole.
Yeah, a 150-foot shot that plays 300 feet.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those shots too. If you just get over the crest of the hill, you're pretty happy. It's definitely a 2-able hole. But just getting over that hill can be a task in itself. There's a lot of trees to hit there, and Cooper has a great shot right there.
That's pretty fantastic, because the hard part about this shot is that you obviously can't see the basket from here. You can see that there's a gap on the left and a gap on the right, but once you sort of crest over the top of that hill, it's hard to then make sure that you're then still approaching the basket after hitting the gap. So that is Cooper threw a fantastic drive on this hole.
And that was a good run there too by Joe. Jesse had a good drive, long putt, but he's up there. He's going to clean up for 3.
Yeah, it's tough to make the 2 from that distance. Just getting over the hill usually isn't enough on this hole.
Oh, and there it is. It's a little teeter right there. That was you'll take that one, huh?
I will take I will take that one. I will take that one all day, even though I feel like I didn't deserve it.
And Cooper with a really nice putt right there for his 2. And Joe, nice putt for his 3.
Yeah, so Jesse's tapping out here, and so we're heading into the 17th hole, and the card, the chase card at this point has finished, and they came up to the tee pad to watch the last 2 holes. And we knew that they shot well. We didn't talk about how well they shot, but they were waiting. So there was a little bit of an added pressure here that I know that I felt and the rest of our card felt on this hole, knowing that we had 2 holes left and that the chase card shot, that at least 2 guys in the chase card shot really, really well. Sam Henderson and Marky Chapalonis.
Yeah, that's that happens a lot on this hole. You want to throw a flick, and was that a little short there?
Only a little bit. That was actually that was pretty good. I was really happy with that. Anything that gets anywhere down near that cameraman, my co-host Sam, anything that gets anywhere down there is great, because they treat this one like a par 4, and you're just hoping to get most of the way down the fairway, and then head another 150, 200 feet or so down the hill to the right. But you can't be short right. If you're short right, there's no line to the basket, so you got to spend most of the time in the air just getting as far down the fairway as possible first.
Here's Jesse with his drive. Nice little turnover there. And, oh, wow. Gets through a bunch there. It gets a little thick, but definitely there are some lanes down there you can get close to the basket.
Yeah, and you'll see that triple tree right there. Your goal is to pass by that on the left side and then fade as far down the hill as possible. You hope to do it from the tee pad, but if you can't, you hope to do it from where Cooper was.
Yeah, the ideal play, I think, for this hole is, straight shot, probably about 200 feet, 250 feet, and then you're trying to go downhill towards the basket and put it close to try and get your 3. Oh, a little short there on the layup, and maybe hits a root or something like that.
Yeah, it looked like I got stumped.
Yeah. Oh, Jesse. He was actually in pretty good position to try and put it close for his 3, and just gets a little unlucky with that tree.
I think we've all felt that frustration in the past. It happens.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like a little half go there, maybe giving it a little bit of a run, and but puts himself pretty close for his putt. Cooper, nice little touch forehand. Really nice shot there.
God, that's so clean.
Yep.
He has such great finesse.
Really put something on that putt. He really ran through that putt.
Yeah, I think, Jesse's probably thinking towards the end of the round, it's not going to make a huge difference in the standings, running things versus not. He kind of knows where he's sitting, which is a little bit behind the lead. So at this point, I think he's thinking, let's just make the putts. Let's go for it. Let's see what we can do and have some fun the rest of the round.
This hole was eagled not too long ago.
This was eagled?
Yep. Someone dropped into.
That is tough.
Yeah, it was Michelle Vega's dad. I can't remember his name.
That's an amazing. That is an amazing shot.
I heard that and my jaw dropped. It was unbelievable. There's not to take anything away from him, but that's an incredibly lucky drive.
You can only control about the first 40% of this drive.
Right. Everything else is just up to Coggshall and what it wants to do with you. There you go. That was a nice putt there. Going into the last hole, got your 3. You're on track for a really nice, strong finish.
Yeah, I'm happy going into this. I know at this point there's only 1 hole left. I threw a great shot earlier. It was a shot that I was hoping to duplicate. This was a really fun round to play. I didn't get a chance to play. You don't always get a chance to play on lead cards, and lead cards are fun. You get to play with the best, and you feel that added pressure. On this shot, I like to go the left gap a little bit and throw a little bit of a turnover. It's a little smaller than the main gap, but I think it fits the discs line that I want to throw.
Absolutely. If you're throwing some kind of turnover putter shot, it is a tighter line, but it's definitely, I would say, more favorable. There is a wide left gap there that Cooper is trying to go for with a forehand, and it actually plays really well for forehand if you can hit those initial few gaps there. And that's the danger of a backhand. You can let it a little bit right, and you just kind of get stopped. Even if you get into those trees, it's pretty thick in there.
You can actually see Marky Chapalonis in the background there waiting to see what happens, because he knows that this hole will determine who's going to win this event.
Did it really come down to the last hole for you?
It did come down to the last hole. It depended on how I did on the second to last hole and the last hole.
There's Joe. Oh, going wide forehand here. It's still pretty open, and when you get down there, there's a pretty good gap. Gets a bit of an unlucky roll there, and he's going to find himself with a pretty long putt.
Yeah, he managed to land in the only wide open path down there where he wouldn't roll into anything to stop.
A little flex forehand with the Nova. Goes a little bit long. Here's Cooper.
Yeah, so that's a make or break for him. He knows that it may matter whether or not this putt is made, but I think at this point he knew that he was just a little out.
There's Joe with a little little tomahawk there. Now, do you know what this putt means for you right now?
I think I do. I think I'm pretty confident that if I make this, I win, and if I miss, there might be a tie, but it's probably a win.
Yeah, but if you make them, then you've done everything you can.
Doesn't matter. Put it in the basket anyway.
Yeah. I think you won right there. You gave a little. There's the tournament centrals right over there. You gave him a little wave. There's a good little cheer from the crowd, and you probably felt pretty good about that one.
Yeah, that felt really, really good. This was as you'll see, Jesse made a great putt.
Yeah, it was a really nice putt by Jesse. I wanted to make sure we point that out. That was a nice one. Cooper tapping in. Well, maybe. I guess maybe for Cooper it's a tap in. Good putt there. Good finish. All right, guys. Thanks for watching our round 2 coverage of the Welcome to the Jungle 2 at Coggshall Park in Fitchburg, Massachusetts. We had a really great time commentating with you guys and going along around with you.
Yeah, this was exciting. Thanks for watching, and thanks to everybody who had a hand in putting this video coverage together, the camera crew, Mark and Sam, Bob Kulchuk, the tournament director, all the volunteers who helped work on the course, and anybody who had a hand in putting a fantastic event together. This was a great event for me. I was very excited to be able to win this event locally. Thanks for watching, everyone.
All right, coming in 5th place with a score of 119, James Bress. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right. Coming in 4th with a score of 115, Cooper Legee. 185. Yeah, Prodigy.
Thanks, Bob. I just want to thank Bob real quick. It's a really smooth event. Had a great time. And thanks to the club, everyone who worked on the course. The course looked really great. Those tee pads were amazing. So thanks to all you guys. And thanks to everyone I played with. I met some new people, and it was a great time. Go Prodigy.
Yeah, Prodigy. All right, coming in 3rd place, Marc Chapalonis with the score 114, taking home $235. Yes, tied for 2nd with Sam.
Yay!
Yes. Sorry, man.
Thanks to Bob and Con.
So they both had 114.
Yay!
You guys want to say anything? Can you split
And a
that?
birthday.
Sponsors.
Throw West Side.
Yeah, thank you to Latitude and everyone who's wished me a happy birthday today. I appreciate it. Cool.
Happy birthday, Sam! And finally, crushing with a 111. Chris Collette taking down first place.
Thank you, man. Thanks for playing, dude.
There's your trophy. There's your cash. $445.
Awesome. Woo! You want a box? Yeah, I do actually. I'll grab it in a
You
sec.
can grab a beer.
This course looks amazing compared to what it used to look like when it was thick and grown in, and the work that's been done on this course I think is fantastic. So thanks to Bob, thanks to anybody who's put in any coursework. Those tee pads do look fantastic. They make the course a lot easier to play, which is great. You can't play like that without tee pads like that. Big thank to Bob especially, and anybody who helped out with this tournament. Bob's helped me a lot too with some personal stuff, with the Hawk's Nest stuff. So a big thank you to Bob. I want to thank Prodigy. Without their plastic, I can't do what I do at all. Thank you everybody, and have a great Saturday.